Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony. And did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. Hey, welcome back to the Women Leaders Podcast. I am so excited Carol is with us today. Welcome, Carol.
Well, I'm so excited to be here.
I love it. I can't wait for our conversation today, but I have to know right off the bat, Courageous Carol, where did that come from? How is that your moniker? Tell me the details.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm looking over there at my shirt that says that. I will not go and get it. How it came about is that besides having my own business, I also am a contract coach on a team. And one time we were at a live event. So anybody here that's in the coaching space will know what a live event is. And as a surprise to us, each member of the team was given as a surprise a t-shirt in the team color with a back of it and a descriptor of their name and then a descriptor that matches. So for me, it's C. So it's Courageous Carol, right? And there were all different ones, and I'm not remembering what the rest were. It's irrelevant anyhow. I think that my story of how I came into being a coach and being self-employed and so on, and the things that I went through, it's a reflection of how other people see me, which is courageous.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, let's everybody just think right now of, what would people say of you if they could give one word to your name, right? In alliteration, right? So I'm Julianne, and I often get joyful Julianne, right? Just because I have that energy and that spirit and that presence about me. And I think it is so cool when we can be in an atmosphere where people can claim that over us, right? And it's also really cool to be able to do that for ourselves. Like, what is a word that we would give to ourselves? It is so easy to look at our flaws and the things that we want to change. But what would be that word you would give to yourself right now? And I just want everybody to think about that. And you can do it after the podcast, but it just came to me right now of what a special treat that would be for you listening, to just think of yourself in that positive way and what moniker you would give yourself. So thank you, Carol, for bringing that up. That's a wonderful way to start off the podcast.
You're most welcome. And I might add to that, sometimes the best way to do it is to talk to people who are close to you, because oftentimes we cannot see our own merits, certainly not the way others can. So
Absolutely. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so you hinted a little bit towards your story and why people think you're courageous. And, I know that you have built a business in a recession, and kind of the atmosphere of the world right now, there's many people freaking out about that. Oh, are we going back in a recession? Is my life in jeopardy? Is my business in jeopardy? Is my job in jeopardy? And so talk a little bit about your journey through that, and any kind of fears or anything you face that people can relate to right now.
yeah, thank you so much. Well, people will often ask me, so why did you decide to start your own business? And the answer is because I didn't really have too much of a choice. And it's because in 2009, it was a great recession. And quite frankly, I got laid off. I mean, I had the job and, the license and, all the health insurance and all the things, for my family and my husband at the time. And it was a big change for us. And to be honest with you, we were very much filled with fear of the future. We exuded fear. He was fearful. I was fearful. We had all kinds of fear parties going on. So if you do feel fear, like, first of all, don't push that aside. Like, I would say, don't live in it forever and ever. Like, don't let it completely, consume you. And it's okay because it is scary, right? So I'm going to give a little hint and then I'll go back to the story. What I've learned over time is that when we can look fear straight in the eye, and what I'd like to think about is the Wizard of Oz, right?
Mm,
The great and powerful Oz is just this little guy, you know?
right.
And not to say it's not real, because it is. And I learned this one from a psychotherapist actually that came to my kids' high school several years ago. When we can name the fear and kind of give it a label, it
Yeah.
it is not then us, and we can say, "Oh wow, such and somebody is coming to visit," that kind of
Mm,
thing. Anyway, now I'll go back to the story. So we were very fearful. I was fearful I would never find a job again in my chosen field. I was fearful, that we wouldn't be able to pay our mortgage. I was fearful for all the things. And it was hard. I couldn't find a job in my chosen field. I was in the design professions, design and construction. And there were no jobs. I applied and so on. We won't go there because it's not relevant. But at the same time, I kind of had this idea, like even before my job was at an end, I could kind of see the writing on the wall. And I thought, if I weren't to do this, what might I do? And
mm,
I even went as far as to talk to my CPA about it. And there you go. There's another piece of advice is when you have those little hints, little whispers, like kind of angel voices or whatever you want to call them, my goodness, act on them. Sure, you might lose your job. You might want to be, so ask, don't shrivel, right? So my CPA said, absolutely. If you want to start doing that kind of work, maybe you're down to 4 days a week instead of 5. She said, my first advice to you, start racking up make sure you put down your mileage.
yes,
Well,
literally.
and so then the time came not long after that. So right away, I just went into action.
Mm,
Action is the antidote to our villains and our gremlins. So
mm,
action is really good. I went into action right away. I applied for unemployment. What else did I do? I started building a website from nothing. I also applied to a lot of jobs, local jobs, like I applied to be a letter carrier with the post office, like anything, right? As
right,
long as okay. So, but I will say this, with every strength and solution, there's a corresponding, you're doing it too much lesser strength. And I found later that I was in too much action.
yeah,
So, right? Because then we're not planning enough, we're not paying attention enough, we're just in this,
right,
right? And that creates its own issues and problems.
right, yeah,
So the more mature version of me now would not have gone like crazy like that.
mm,
More mature version of me would have said, hang on, yep, you're in a difficult situation. Take a breath,
right,
back up, go to the beach. You know what I mean? Like walk, breathe,
right,
journal, make some inquiries, take some classes. You know what I mean? But at the time I was in this perennial motion, like I've gotta.
right.
There's some combination, like don't stop because some people are in analysis paralysis and overthinking. I was not in that. Believe me, I was not in overthinking. I didn't think enough. So
Right.
there's so what ended up happening was, right, I kind of started my business and I was up and running. I had a business plan, a website, all this stuff within like 3 months. And then I talked to a business coach and she said, you've done all that? She goes, 3 years people usually, you did that in 3 months. I said, yeah, 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 I got to make some money right now. And she,
Yeah.
and she said, all right, my biggest advice to you is to not need the money. And I'm like, what? And what she was really saying was slow down,
Yeah.
and I didn't. But so that's a regret. Going back to what do you do now? What do you do now if you're fearful? The things I said already would be a good idea. And also, ask yourself who you are.
Mm,
Why, which why are you here? Like, go buy some books or get some books from the library about purpose. Listen to some of these podcasts that
Yeah.
you've done here in the leadership space. There's boundaries and purpose and all that great
Right.
stuff that you teach. Um, because that when we ignite the flame of our purpose and we ignite the flame of our legacy, that kind of wealth, then we can grow from there
Hmm.
versus just trying to scrape things together. I mean, if you're out in the
Right.
street in a cardboard box, that's a different scoop. Well, I'm
Right.
assuming you're not out in the street in a cardboard box.
Right. With
Yeah.
your iPhone listening to this podcast.
Yeah. So I'll pause for a minute because I
Yeah.
could keep going forever. Maybe you should ask me a question.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, I think so often when we get in those crossing the road, right, of either analysis paralysis or I'm a human doing, not a human being, right,
Mm,
where you just go 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 do, I'm gonna get it done. And it's like either one, we're trying to find our purpose, find our validation in other things outside of us. And so I love when you said take a moment, breathe, walk, journal. Those three things, period, can change your life. And
mm,
people want so badly to have the recipe for success, right? And we'll get into your productivity cake too, because I want to know about that. But they want to have the recipe for success. And it's like, precious, it is different for everybody because you
mhm.
are different than anybody. And so, yes, there's similar things, there's similar skill sets, and there's similar practical tools you can use and steps you can take. But until you understand more about yourself, who you are, what you believe, and how you move forward, things that the lies that you've been told, that until you can start to recognize those, you will always baseline yourself back to your that default line of insecurity and doubt and fear always.
Mhm.
You figure out in yourself, and that's why it's so important to have somebody come alongside of you, right? You mentioned reading books and listening to podcasts and hiring coaches, things like that. And and we get it all the time of people like, well, I'm not making any money. How can I hire a coach? That is the time you absolutely need to hire a coach, even
Yeah.
if it's just for a couple sessions, you
Yeah.
know, just to have some. And let me pause there too, because there are so many people out there that will sell you into these huge, large coaching packages. Okay.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're
Yeah.
wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
A true coach will help you in one session, in two sessions, in three
That's it.
sessions. Like you don't have to sign these year-long contracts. If that's what they are forcing, then that might not be the coach for you right now. Maybe in
Sure.
the future, but not right now. So there are people that can help you, that can meet you where you're at right now. So don't
Yes.
overlook those people. Okay, go on.
No, that's wonderful. I love that. And I think especially now with all the uncertainty, I do coach to coach, I do like to offer a very small, like on the menu. Here's
Yeah.
here's like an appetizer. You don't need
Right.
a whole meal.
Right.
You just want to get yourself started. So a good range is the hallmark of a great coaching relationship. So what's your next question for me?
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about, the recipe for success, and I know you have a productivity cake. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about like how you came into that
Yeah.
when you decided, this makes so much sense, and this is what a lot of my clients are struggling with, and this is really what I'm finding that works. So, talk about how you came up with that.
Thank you so much. To tell you that, I need to give you an overview of the journey from '09 to 2020 when I created the cake, okay? So in '09, I started as a professional organizer, not knowing what I didn't know. Very quickly, within months to a year, I realized that the reason people are disorganized, there's reasons, and that was my specialty. So from there, I switched over to coaching, got those type of certifications. I had a background interest in psychology anyway, so that all just made sense. Now, in that transition and how things were going, I found the productivity space, productivity, time management, and there I am again looking outside in, thinking, "Oh, people want time management. Ooh, I can sell them. Oh, I'm really good at time management. Wow, that seems to be." So I became the productivity time management guru, whether it's working for HR or, wherever it is, and giving seminars, working with one-to-one with people in all different ways. And what I learned over that decade were that there were certain pieces that kept coming up over and over and over again. And one day I started a cohort and I'm like, okay, I've got to do an outline. How am I going to present this? And literally I just started drawing. I'm an artist. I'm a landscape architect. Like I draw a lot and I know how to draw. So I started drawing. And sometimes when you draw, things come out.
Yeah.
So I started drawing and next thing you know, and all the pieces that I thought I needed to help people in their productivity. And I realized that I could make it into something. And I like to have fun in my work, you know? And I know you say that in your introduction, without having fun, what's the point? So I'll
Right.
go all the way to, with that. And so I thought, well, a cake would be really fun. So
Yeah.
with that, the productivity success cake was born. And with your permission, I'd like to just hold it up here on the,
Sure.
that'd be okay. So, because I want to point out something. So here's the cake, and you can see I've written all over it, this bottom. So I will just give you a quick overview, but then
Yeah.
I'm going to say, so people would come to me, ask me, hey, how can I manage my time better?
Mm,
Now, then I point out, well, time management is only one piece of the cake.
right.
And in fact, it's on the third layer. The reason it's on the third layer is because I know you said this in one of your recent podcasts, Health is Wealth. The bottom is all about health.
Yeah.
That so many times, especially women, we know it, but we don't do it.
Right.
So when we go through the process and we rate ourselves, I have a whole rating thing on the website and so on. You don't have to even hire me to do that. But in the cohort that I do, we go through each piece of cake one at a time. So I've heard a lot of people talk about, well, you need to get the right sleep and you need to do this and you need to do that. You know what that is? Overwhelming. So, so when we have it all in sort of a visual, and
Yeah.
we can start to see, oh yeah, wow, yeah. It's not like I say, it's not like Jenga, like rest and sleep cannot be sort of just pushed out,
Right.
and still have the whole thing stand. Doesn't work like that. So you have to be good enough in each of these areas, and then you can build from there. The
Yeah.
second one is environment. So environment's everything from, is your environment cluttered? Is it, poor light, whatever it is. And also I added some other stuff like circle of support. Like here
Mhm.
in women's leadership, we have support, right? We have chapters and we need support. And so I like to say a coach community and a system is good
Yeah.
support, right? Lighting your light. Okay, so that's environment.
Mm.
Then and only then are we really ready to absorb productivity strategies.
Yeah. Good.
When we read a book that tells you the top 10 time management, if we're not sleeping at night, if our home environment isn't supportive, if our boss is out to get us or whatever, we hate our
Right.
colleagues, like it's not going
Right.
to work.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that's when you start to be able to fully implement the book stuff.
Yeah.
And then at the top, I have rinse, repeat, sharpen the saw because, we always want to get to our next level, like our next level 10, right? And then at the top, tippity top, I have candles because we want to celebrate.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate, and there's no such thing as celebrating enough.
Yeah.
And we celebrate. The first thing I do in a coaching call is, what are you celebrating? And people are like, sometimes when they're in the hole, they say, well, nothing. I said, well, you showed up today.
Right.
Oh, I showed up.
Celebrate
Okay,
it.
and
Yeah.
you need to get into this place of anything that isn't negative can be celebrated.
Yes.
Even a negative can be celebrated.
Yes.
Raining for 7 days, but you know what? My roof works.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so see, and then last but not least, is the frosting, which is your why.
Mm.
So important. And lately, I've been calling this bottom piece foundational resilience, especially for high achievers, because
Yeah.
I'm actually going to my next level. So that's the cake.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's so true that, it's not Jenga. You can't take
pieces that are easy for you, right? Like when you said that, you went right in and you built a website. Okay, well, a lot of people get so lost in doing the pretty things, the things that are easy for them, if they have a more creative lens, it's really easy to get lost in, oh, what am I going to be my brand colors and what are my fonts and what are,
Yeah.
they can spend hours on Canva and it's like, you're still not talking to anybody.
Right.
You're not going to be able to move forward in that way. And so I think it's so important for people when you, again, are in this process of awareness of, I need to manage my time better. Great. Why? What's going on? Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't read a book. I remember I had just had my quadruplets and I was, John Maxwell speaker, trainer, coach at that time. And I was reading about, all these people that were like, how you start your morning is how you run your day. And I was like, my morning is shit. Like, excuse my language, but my morning is terrible. I wouldn't wish my morning on anyone. I had these four little babies that I'm trying to keep alive. And like, there's no way when I go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's the only way I can determine if I'm going to have a good day or not. What? And so
No,
that
right.
always just didn't sit right with me. And so I love
Right.
the fact of like, okay, look at where you're at. Look at what's going on with you right now. And again, it goes back to that introspection that we talked about in the very beginning of, what word would you give yourself? You have to begin to get to know yourself a little bit more
Yeah.
and what matters to you and what's hard for you, what challenges you, what excites you, right? You want to celebrate, okay, what excites you? So I love that cake. And I think everybody needs the the time just to doodle. Get a piece of paper and just put some things on paper.
Yeah, 100%. I actually started in my private Facebook group. I started coloring with Carol. And you know who
Oh,
gave me the idea of that? My 17-year-old son. He'd see me every morning with my binaural beats music on and my candles, coloring for 10 minutes. And he goes, Mom, you should start a YouTube channel. I'm like, what? And I poo-pooed it. And then I realized, you know what? This is a really beautiful thing for my community. And so I do. That's a free community and people pop on. And the idea is to start your morning with 10 minutes. And I don't think everybody colors. I think they might be brushing their teeth while they watch it, or who knows. But it's their time to say, let me breathe in.
yeah,
Let me give this 5 or 10 minutes just to me.
yeah,
And that grounds us for our day, whether it's 6 a.m., 10 a.m., like I do mine at 8 a.m., but that's this time zone and people are all different time zone.
right, right.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And again, I love that, you know, one, your son called out that beautiful thing that you had going, right? Like you should totally do that. I mean, look at Bob Ross, right?
I know. I was like, oh, come on. And then I thought, well, what the heck? I'm doing it
Right.
anyway.
Do I need to tease my hair first? Get a perm? What's going on? Um,
Right.
but I love that even those who aren't coloring can still come and be a part of it. And I think that's so many people can miss that, right? They think, well, it looks different for me. Okay. Okay. It can
Yeah.
look different for you, and that's okay. It's finding what is going to work for you. It's seeing what you honor and respect about somebody else, right?
Mm,
And going, okay, well, what does that mean for me? How does
yeah.
that look for me? It doesn't have to be the exact same thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. So, Carol, what would be your last piece of advice, your last piece of inspiration to the woman right now who maybe has lost her job and she's like, okay, I'm gonna start journaling, I'm gonna doodle, I'm gonna draw me a cake, I'm right. And now she's starting to like get all these things she's gonna do. How would you help her to become the woman that she was created to be?
Mm, yeah. So remember that you are unique and special and loved,
Yeah.
that your journey is uniquely yours, that it's okay to feel all your feelings, and that when you feel them, you get to move through them, anger especially, and then become grateful.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, you can allow yourself to be angry. It's not fair that you've lost your job, and that you move through that, and then you will find, if you look hard enough, once that's done, gratitude on the other side. And when you can start to be grateful for the things that you did not choose in your life,
Mm.
that's when you become powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with that power, you will take that to your next job, or maybe you become a consultant, or maybe you do some combination of those things. And with that knowledge, now you're doodling, now your self-improvement, now the seminar you go to, it will take on a new meaning. You will see things in different ways. And I know you're going to do it, and it's going to be amazing for you.
I love that. And I love just thinking of that as something to be celebrated, just knowing this journey that our listeners are about to go through. And it's exciting for those of us who have been through it, to look back and go like, oh, it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be beautiful.
I know, we can say
Okay.
it. We're like,
Right, because we're on the other side of it. But one thing I do with a lot of my clients, and this is like your candles to your cake, is I always say, like when they're in it, right, and they're complaining about all this stuff, I'm like, lift up your right hand. They're like, okay. If you're not watching on YouTube, I'm holding up my right hand, and I'm like, okay, now take it and put it over your left shoulder. And they're like, okay, and I'm like, and pat it.
that's it. Yeah.
Right. It's just sometimes, and it's so funny because I just did this today downstairs with my kids, and I was trying to do lunch and get everything, and I was trying to make pasta salad for later, and I did something really well food wise. And I was like, yeah, go me. Like just a little celebration of myself. And they were like, did you just say go me? And I said, sure did. I said, because there's not going to be people, one, that sees the good stuff that you do, right? There's not going to be people that recognize it or understand why it's good or anything. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
You don't have to have somebody's permission to celebrate yourself.
That's right. Beautiful. Thank you for what you do, Julianne.
Absolutely. It is my joy, joyful Julianne, to do so. Carol, thank you so much. So how do you prefer people to connect with you?
Sure. If you go to unscatterme.com, you'll find my website and all my contact information there. You can go from scattered and stuck to focused and confident if you want that book, or reach out any place you want in there. Unscatterme.com. You'll find me.
I love it. Carol, thank you so much. Listen, ladies, if you are looking for more stories like this, be sure to head to womenleaderspodcast.com. Bye for now.